Over here. Um, I was asked to talk on post-Cold War foreign policy issues and challenges and how to basically teach this. Now, when we are thinking about really these courses and the pedagogy to teach them, we have to also think about the audience, who are the students. And here, basically, I was told, we discussed this when we were working it out, that they could be 12 plus. I mean, after finishing school, they could also be for the certificate courses and for the diploma courses, maybe graduates. And it could be a motley group. Now, this motley group may or may not know anything about US foreign policy. But the thing is, everybody reads newspapers, you hear about the South China Seas and US basically flying a couple of planes over those islands. And so, I mean, it has all to be fitted together as such. So I, in fact, think that the pedagogy here should be number one. What I do is, what is important when you're a teacher, what do the students take away from you as such, from the class? So what I do is, when I teach, I also make the students give presentations, okay? And at the end of it, say for instance, strategies of conflict resolution, I teach that. I ask the students, and there are very few of them because this is an optional course, to select an unresolved conflict. Anything, any. And basically apply the theories that have been taught and see whether they work or not, or in fact devise or write such theories of their own as to how they can be done. And the cross-questioning is done by the students, and they in fact come up with very innovative ideas and they get very interested in the course thereafter. Now, here in fact I was thinking, basically, how do you interest students? A motley student group, or as such, of different ages, from different backgrounds. First of all, of course, the container, I don't much like the word, or as such, but basically the what is also important over here, because you're thinking of a group who may or may not know, or as such, anything about US foreign policy. So first, in fact, what they should get is an understanding of US foreign policy as such, and this could involve geography. This will involve geography as well as history. The professor in the morning session, he talked about that, about India, what would be the first thing is geography has to be taught. I think to Indian students also what is important when you're teaching foreign policy is the geography, or it as such, because the US, as you can see, or it as such. Here, in fact, I'm going to use maps, I'm going to use, if I'm going to teach this, or it as such, use cartoons, photographs, everything. Now, you can see the wide expanse of seas on the two sides, and two friendly countries on the other, in the north and in the south, as such. So this would absolutely affect the geography of a country. Now, it's very important. In fact, this is not a good map. There were better maps, or as such, and I don't know why I put this in, but anyway, there are, which shows the wide expanse of sea. Now, basically, it's a country which is protected. In fact, the foreign policy, or as such, is determined to a large extent by its geography too. India's unfriendly neighbors to the north and to the west does basically determine its foreign policy. So here, in fact, this is very important to tell them basically what is important. Now, a little bit of history is also required, or as such, and very quickly, I'm not going to read anything or whatever, but US foreign policy goes back to the time from when it became independent. Now, it was a new country. Any new country needs, and it got trounced in 1812. After that, of course, or as such, it had to build up. So the Monroe Doctrine is very important. So one has to explain this. I'm teaching post-Cold War, but I do need to go back to the Monroe Doctrine for reasons I'll tell you in a minute, or as such. Basically, what they didn't want was European domination, colonialism. This is very important. I mean, when you're talking about US foreign policy, you have to tell the students about what are the major components, what are the major features. I kind of boil it down to power, peace, prosperity principles, not always in that order. Sometimes power, of course, always comes first. Prosperity might come second, peace third, and principles, of course, takes a trouncing once in a while. So, basically, I mean, shift it around, or as such. Now, the National Security Council in 1947, that is enduring. What it said was to preserve the United States as a free nation with our fundamental institutions and values intact. And that is very important for US foreign policy, because that really has determined, is determining, and will continue to determine US foreign policy in the future too. And here, of course, the domestic, because prosperity is important. Without prosperity, national interests cannot be pursued to the extent that the US desires to. Now also, if you look at the next point that I make out here was enduring eternal interest, which is actually to preserve the United States as a free nation. Short-term interests, these vary. Public interest, like for interest, Somalia, pulling out the troops from there, or Vietnam. So that is important. And priorities, which change, all right, as the war on terror is a priority. It could be also a short-term interest. We have to kind of place it as such. And of course, another feature is unilateralism and multilateralism, which is kind of varied again and again. Now, as I said, history, I do need to, the first 40 years, I'm not going to go into this because I want to show you some interesting cartoons and pictures. Now, we go into the Cold War and the containment policy because, well, from the end of the, for 40 years, from 1945 till the end of the 1980s, the US foreign policy was basically the main determining feature of it as such was the Cold War and containment as such, okay? Now, with the fall of the evil empire as such, okay, things began to change, or as such. Basically, well, this, and as I said, what do you take away? What do you take away from a class? Now, how do you cast the interest of students? And I think pictures are important, but even more important, I mean, more interesting, maybe are cartoons, or as such. And these, the political cartoons, really speak volumes, or as such. Not only are they sitting, the two, Khrushchev and Kennedy, are they sitting on missiles, or as such. If you look at their fingers, or as such, they are pointing at the buttons, or as such, on each other's, okay? So that kind of explains the Cold War, or as such, more than, well, all my lecturing can do, as such, that way. Now, basically, with the end of the Cold War, and here, this is what we're talking about, or as such, things did change, or as such. But basically, as I said, enduring interests remain the same, or as such. And what happens, or as such, is very much determined by the circumstances of the time. Now, after the Cold War, well, to go back again, if you look at the end of the Cold War foreign policy, there was a debate as to whether basically America should follow an isolationist policy, or basically a multilateral policy, or enjoy its unilateral moment as such, okay? Now, immediately after that, it did not mean peace. It meant, in fact, new wars, new or as such threats. So, depending on situational exigencies. As I said, it has very much compromised on its principles again and again, and it continues to do so. This is actually, I don't know whether it can be read or read as such. Most of them are with US allies, but most of them, as you can see, basically, they are well, dictators or autocrats or as such. And in fact, even today, the US has some very strange bedfellows, depending on them. Now, with the end of the Cold War, as I said, I'm going to go through cartoons and pictures or as such, because they, the political commentators, really hit it on, as I say, hit the nail on the tail, but it should be hit the nail on the head when they did this thing. Here you are, officially the Cold War is over, or as such, but there are others. Well, basically for them it was not, finally. And in fact, as you see, missile reduction written over there. There was INF Start 1, Start 2, or as such, which did not get ratified, okay. So basically, while you're showing this, you can always lecture. The kind of pedagogy that you can use is show this, or as such, a show cartoon, and you explain it, or as such, the foreign policy behind that. Okay. Sorry, I have a bad throat, my own fault. And the indecision, that of course is Bush Senior, as you can see. And maybe I'll give you a minute to read it. It's quite interesting. As you know, right after the end of the Cold War, there was Iraq, or as such, Iraq and Kuwait. And the villainization of Saddam Hussein, or as such. But look at the second cartoon. The second one, the second picture, and I want to read it, and the fourth picture, or as such. If you've all read it, or as such, it shows basically the situation of the time, or as such. And there was these strong things, anti-Saddam. Okay, that gives you time to read it also. According to the new estimates, here was this problem of economics, or as such. But then, in more important news, there's a newsreader reading out, or as such, the president today declared Saddam Hussein more evil than Darth Vader. I'm not to Star Wars. Okay, now after that comes, of course, Bill Clinton's, or as such. Here, in fact, again, the content, of course, is important. His foreign policy was, there was a lot of basically peace initiatives, also anti-nuclear attempts at reduction, or as such. So what you see is, I have given a list over here, just points, because as I said, this is introducing them to the subject. Then I lecture on what is important, what they should be basically looking for and looking at. And again, basically a cartoon to kind of illustrate. Now, Clinton is shown here as blind. There is this boom boom thing. But if you go back to the earlier one, alright, as such, Somalia, there were problems. The Balkans, Haiti, Iraq, alright, as such, North Korea. Now, there were agreements in many of these, alright, as such. They were excellent, alright, as such. North Korea, they agreed a framework, but it didn't work out. There's still nuclear, as such, going towards nuclearization. Northern Ireland was, of course, a positive step, alright, as such. Iraq, it opened the Pandora's box, and I suppose it had to be done. And the others, alright, as such. So basically, pedagogy should be, showing, alright, as such, pictures or cartoons, and then explaining along with that. 9/11, alright, as such, I'm skipping. These are the topics that I would do in this kind of short module, alright, as such. And of course, this is an iconic picture, so that doesn't need much explanation. But what is interesting also is the quote that I've given of John Lewis Gaddis over here. The post-Cold War era began with the collapse of one structure, the Berlin Wall, and ended with the collapse of another, the World Trade Center. Now, basically, that also defines, alright, as such, what you can call, alright, as such, a debate which is there regarding whether we can still call this a post-Cold War era or basically a post-9/11 era, alright, as such. And a cartoon, again, alright, as such, a political cartoon. War is the more important muscle, alright, as such, so it's building up those. Pedagogy should include, what I'm trying to say is, it's important what the student takes away, what he remembers. If you show things, alright, as such, which is interesting to the student, alright, as such, and I just try to think that basically what would be interesting generally, alright, as such. Now, the war on terror, alright, as such, again, these are iconic pictures, alright, as such. Afghanistan and, of course, Iraq, the regime change. So while you are showing, alright, as such, these pictures, okay, you are also talking about basically the war in Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden, and later on Iraq, alright, as such. Now, and then of course the why part of it, because you don't just say what, and I think this picture is a bit of it, alright, as such. You're either with us or against us, or you have a whole lot of oil. And you see what he has basically, terrorism funds Osama bin Laden. Now, basically, if terrorism funds Osama bin Laden, why nothing happened vis-a-vis Saudi Arabia, alright, as such. Can be traced to Saudi Arabia, alright, as such. Now, this is an article which I would also ask people to read, but they need not read it depending on basically, what level it is. If it is diploma, yes, but not certificate, okay? Because this is a more complicated article. I would give my students, but maybe not for this class, but I thought I'd put it in over here. The impact of the Iraq war, alright, as such. I've already spoken about axis of evil in my class, which of course I have not mentioned over here, the speech as such. Now, there goes Iraq with a boom, alright, as such, but it brings some of the others around, alright, as such. Libya, for instance, Sudan also began cooperating regarding Osama bin Laden's long stay over there. But here we have basically North Korea. Okay, Mr. Bush, we're listening. So this also, alright, as such, might be talking. And then, of course, Obama. This would be another, I was thinking of sets of lectures, alright, as such, there would be, alright, as such, on Obama and the Democrats, alright, as such. Now, some of the funniest and some of the more crude, alright, as such, cartoons are there, alright, as such, for Obama, President Obama. Now here, of course, this is Obama's foreign policy is weak, and of course, the plane has crashed, alright, as such. Of course, that is not my opinion, but of a political commentator. Now, as I said, content is also necessary. So basically, what are the challenges facing Obama? Now, Obama came to the presidency at a time, in fact, when America was going through a really bad spot, financially, as well as the wars in Iraq and in Afghanistan, all right, as such. So he had taken over. So, and on top of that, all right, as such, the financial crisis was there. There was also the rise of China, re-emergence of Russia as a powerful state, Arab uprisings of 2011. All of this basically will need a little bit, all right, as such, in any kind of class. Now, I would take classes, all right, as such, on certain things like US-Russia relations, US-China. Now, here again, I mean, if you're doing US-Russia, just to give the earlier, or as such, the early part of the Obama administration reset, but then, of course, the recent re-reset, or as such, and this, I think, cartoon tells it all, or as such. We feel it again, or as such. And the last one talks about Snowden, okay, so one can mention that. And this picture speaks more than words can do. You can see the two of them looking well, the relations between US and Russia. Now, regarding Middle East, I would take at least one lecture, or as such, particularly because it's so important in international relations, I mean, in post-Cold War foreign policy, but the uncertainty of the present administration regarding how it should deal. Now, this is, as you can see, the riddle of the Sphinx, or as such. To do or not to do, or what is good or what is not. It's actually a very interesting thing. I mean, since with so little time, I really can't go into that. Then, of course, everybody is saying that one of the feathers in his cap is the Iran nuclear deal. But whether this lasts or not, okay, here is this cartoon. What's the Iranian word for negotiation? And what does the Ayatollah say? Stall. Okay, so basically, I mean, to make it kind of stick, okay. Now, Pakistan, of course, US-Pakistan has to be done. That is, of course, Osama bin Laden's house where he stayed. One can also show a movie, all right. In fact, I just want to, this is, of course, the drone attacks you talk about. And, well, give you some, yes, we can. The pivot to Asia, all right, as such, Secretary Clinton's speech, and then basically the, all right, US-China relations coming development from there, maybe a class or two of that, all right, as such. Particularly in the context of the South China Sea, or as such, and the Z mantra, the new model of major country relations. What he's saying is major country relations, making US a major country as well as China a major country. So the relations are there. So this will be the conclusion. But before that, if I can take just 1 minute, I mean, because this is a pedagogy class as such, I would like to just start it, and I'm going to stop it. All right?
On September the 11th, enemies of freedom committed an act of war against our country. Americans have known wars, but for the past 136 years, by recruited from their people everywhere, by sponsoring and sheltering and supplying terrorists, by aiding and abetting murder. The Taliban regime is committing murder. And tonight, the United States of America makes the following.
Country is secure. They endure the daily humiliations, large and small, that come with occupation. So let there be no doubt. The situation for the Palestinian people is intolerable, and America will not turn our backs on the legitimate Palestinian aspiration for dignity, opportunity, and a state of their own.
Now, basically clips from videos, speeches, and even movies, all right, as such, which can illustrate what one wants to kind of, highlight, all right, as such. We must remember this is a very short course, 3 months, or 6 months, or whatever. So what can be done is basically give them a kind of introduction into foreign policy, post-war foreign policy, and what they take away is what is also visual, or as such.